Rightio, well, inspired by Jeff at El Jefe's Chop Shop. Bloody good YouTube channel, that one. Go check it out. Gonna do a little 2022 wind up slash 23 up and coming little episode. So 2022 was pretty hectic really. Got a lot done. Definitely didn't get as far on the van as I was hoping I would. Everything just took a lot longer. There was a lot more rust and just sort of worked quite a bit this year, but sort of winding down. It's that summer period, Christmas, New Year's. Ooh, Carlton Dry. Anyone knows anyone at Carlton Dry? Sponsor me. Get the old van in a ad. Carlton Dry down the side. Ooh. Anyway, so you've been following along this year. You know we've done a lot of work on this van. All the sides have been completely off it. The frames sandblasted, painted. Roof's off, all the work was done on that. The rear doors, it's been pretty much completely pulled apart and it's back together for the end of the year. Other things some may notice in the background, the RX-8 has been missing for a little bit. That has actually moved over to Melbourne. I sort of put it up for sale because there's a couple of reasons. It was sort of taking a lot of time away from the van, and then I was always working when an event was on. So I was taking time off work and then going to do a drift event, so I was losing money, not working, spending money on tyres, which is money that should have been going into this. And I put it up for sale. I had it up for sale for a couple of weeks, decided not to sell it, took it off the market, and then I must have left it up on some site, and then the guy rang me up and basically sort of paid pretty close to what I was asking, so that went. Another thing that's been taking up a bit of time this year is the old rivet press there. So that's taken up a fair bit of time trying to get that thing up and running. Haven't had too much luck with it at the moment. Had a lot of dies made, and the machine shop that made them for me sort of guided me, and I trusted them in what steel to make them out of, and basically they've just been exploding. So I have one set of dies made in a different material, which my lovely wife got me that Paragon kiln there, so I can heat treat them myself. So at least it's on me. Now the old RX-8 turned into stuff for the press. Got that high up there, which has just become another project, unfortunately. Got the lathe and got the big bandsaw there, so that's all sort of to go with the rivet press there. If everything goes well in 2023, hopefully that rivet press should be making me some reasonable money by the end of the year, which will allow me to hopefully stop going away as much and just sort of concentrating here, making some really cool furniture and gates and just awesome stuff with that press, and then just smashing into the van. Another project that took time away from the van again was this ute, which started out as a very simple reskinning. I did do one quick episode on this a while ago. Never really done a follow-up one on it, but let me really see. That's all finished. Pretty awesome ute, this thing. I love this thing. Styly as, but yeah, that ended up taking, I think I ended up with about 130 something hours in that. So you know, that's another 3 weeks. 2.5, 3 weeks of work that didn't get done on the van because I was working on this thing, which unfortunately is still in my shed. Another job that was done around the block was this extension. Now, I think it was back in the roof episode where I made that truss up. So we done this bit of an extension there. Basically just to get all the trailers and just stuff out of the weather, you know. Stuff sits out in the rain, and especially the sun. The sun here in Western Australia just destroys everything, you know. It's out in 40 plus degree heat and stuff warps up and whatnot, but I've got a few containers. just welded in there. So I've got the RX-8 up the top there, that's out of the shed and up there. And then up the top there, so still got the old Porsche. So once that ute is out of my shed, Porsche will come back in, and basically plan is to do a mash-up of the RX-8 and the Porsche, and then that will become my new drift car. But need a bit of space so I can work on that. I've been sort of playing around on the computer, trying to 3D model it to make some moulds and stuff, because it's going to be a fairly wide Porsche by the time it is finished. So yeah, this little shelter, that is another job. Alright, well she's a bit windy out here, so hopefully you can sort of hear me well enough, but another little project that sort of took my time up this year, sort of close to the start of the year, is there's a big old hole. So we dug this out. Basically last summer we planted a whole lot of grass in the ground and the dam just didn't last, so got an excavator and went to town, dug this thing out. So that's 50 metres by 50 metres, and it goes down 13 metres, so that took a little while to get that all dug down and then lined. But I don't know if you can sort of see, I can't see the screen, but I don't know if you can sort of see that little line there. It's doing bloody good this summer actually. I'm glad we done it. So we haven't put any seed in the ground this year, we're just sort of doing a trial to see how well it lasts before we go spending thousands of dollars on seed again, like we did last year. Money down the drain. Another job that we done was this shed here. So put that shed up. That took a while as well, over several weekends and whatnot. And another little shed here. So we cleaned this one out. Oh. Yeah, we cleaned this one out, lined it all up, set it all up, so that's a gym, which, as you can see, I spent a lot of time in here. Not. But anyway, that's another little project that got done, decked all that out. So, I don't know whether it's showing me chicken coop. That's my chicken coop there, I've had that for quite a few years. Got it off this guy, old Billy Unwin, down in Hopetown. Got talking one day, I was like, oh, I need a chicken coop. He's like, oh, I've got a pretty cool old car. I was like, oh yeah. And then he rocked up with this thing. Have a go at it. FC Falcon. So, you know, made a custom grill up for it quite some time ago. Called it the old golden egg. Yeah, I've had that thing for quite a few years now. Had it down in Hopetown, and then we sort of moved up here to Perth. And it was down there, and then we sort of ended up selling the house. And I was like, well, I want my chicken coop. So I hired a truck, and done a 1200k round trip with a hired, and went and picked her up, brought it up here. So I think that's pretty much most of the stuff that's gone on this year, really. Lots of other bits and pieces, work. Pretty much if I haven't been at work, I've just been flat out here, really, doing stuff. So for the Porsche, I've already got my dummy block here, so it's a 4rotor dummy block. I've got a few other bits and pieces, suspension and pedal boxes and other stuff ready to go for it. It's just time, but I sort of want to have that off to the side to be working on. You know, if I'm waiting on stuff for the van, I feel like I'm going to be sitting around doing nothing, so I've got the old Porsche there, which I want to get cracking on with. Yeah, so I've got that 4rotor block there, that's for the Porsche. I've got suspension and pedal boxes and a few other bits and pieces there for that project. Obviously I've got the RX-8 out the side, which would be kind of similar deal to what I'm doing with the van. I'll probably get the subframe scanned and everything and build a tube chassis for that based off an RX-8 platform. Would like to get like some wife's fab suspension or something, some good gear for that. And yeah, basically just sort of have that off to the side, so if I get a bit of time where I'm waiting on the van for parts to turn up or a bit of downtime, just something a bit different to just switch off and go do. And like, that's not a project that's going to take any sort of priority until the van is done. Once the van's done, I'll sort of move on to that. But that's going to be, planned for that is front wheel drive, front engined, left hand drive, Porsche drift car basically. So left hand drive because all your exhaust and everything's on the driver's side, so basically it's going to make a left hand drive so the exhaust and everything can come up through the floor and box it all out. So yeah, basically as far as 2023 goes this year, my plans for this year, what I want to do is, as I said, I want to cracking on with the riveting gear, try and get that happening, make some really awesome stuff, get a bit creative. I used to do a lot of creative stuff like signs and stuff back in the day, and to be honest I haven't really done much of it for a few years now, and I quite like it. So I've got a few gates, I've got a few driveways here, and I've got gates to build for them, so I want to do that. I also want to finish off the inside of the shed. Seeing I've done those two sections there. I've got to finish off this wall. So I've got to get that finished. I didn't get the shed insulated for this summer, unfortunately, like I was hoping to, but same as last year. Hopefully by summer this year, end of this year, it'll be done. Yeah, so basically plans for the van also, I'd really hope to have it finished. I think my approval runs out February 2024, end of February I think 2024 my approval for the build runs out. So I've basically, by the time this little spell of work and stuff coming up is finished, that gives me 12 months to basically finish this thing, have it inspected, engineered, signed off, license plates on it, done. Which is a massive ask. I went through yesterday and I've done a quick list. So that is a very broad list basically. It covers most of the stuff, but then a lot of that stuff has multiple steps within it as well. So it's a pretty big list, but it is not as big as it can be. Like I've got fuel tank and systems. You know, I've got to get a fuel tank, make a fuel tank, modify a fuel tank, fuel lines, fuel pumps, fuel pressure regulators, level sensors. You know, like just that one item on there has got multiple things. So that's a massive amount of work to get done, to be perfectly honest. It's just a shell right now. So obviously that's the main focus, is I really want to get that finished. I have another project outside. So another job we've got to get done this year is this old red brick building here. So I believe, so I'm told this is apparently from the late 1800s, and it's one of the original buildings in this Swan Valley. So there's big Gael's rape dungeon down there. Inside, like, she was a bit of a pad for some people at one point in the past, but it's got a lot of really good character. Look old. Just on the outside there, we sort of covered it up, but there's like a massive well that goes down. I don't know how far it goes down, but it's made out of the same red brick as this stuff, like a perfectly bricked well, which is pretty awesome. So we're going to try and incorporate that into the design somehow, and plan is to basically use the riveting press and make some big riveted trusses that encapsulates this whole building. Sort of make it seem as if it was all built at the same time, so from the same era, and then this will just become like a little 1 bedroom unit for when we have family come and stay and stuff like that. So that is a big job that has to get done this year. So another job I've got to do is that house there. That needs a new roof. That's where we're staying at the moment, that shithole. Big holes in the floors and it's absolutely cooked. But it's a roof until one day, sometime in the future, we can actually build a new house. So another thing that's happening this year, well next week in fact, as you can see I've sort of moved a few things around here. So we are going off grid. So yeah, big solar setup. I think it's like 30 kilowatts, battery backup. I can do 3-phase. So that should hopefully do both the houses, the shed, all the reticulation, everything around the property, and hopefully just eliminate our power bills, because they're like $1,600 every time you get one. Ridiculous. So I think we'll leave it there. That's a bit of a wind up of what's happened 2022 and what I'm hoping to achieve this year, 2023. We'll revisit this at the end of the year and laugh at myself for what I was hoping to do. But yeah, cheers for watching and we'll see you on the next episode. We're kicking into this thing. Adios.